Hey folks, this is JR with DIY Prepper. Welcome to the channel. Over the past week or so, we've seen protests pop up in cities all across the country. While some have been mostly peaceful, others have devolved into total dumpster fires, and there's a lot of things that can cause those situations to go downhill. But regardless of the reason why that ends up happening, if you're in the wrong place at the wrong time, it can turn into a very dangerous situation. So in this video, we're going to talk about what you can do to protect yourself and your family if you ever find yourself near, or heaven forbid, right in the middle of one of those events. We'll cover how to avoid getting caught up in one in the first place, how to escape safely if you are in the middle of one, and what you can do to protect your home and your loved ones if all that chaos comes just a little bit too close for comfort. And the best way to deal with one of these events is to stay out of it in the first place, and that starts with good situational awareness. A lot of people get caught up in those things simply because they weren't paying attention to what was going on around them. So start by keeping up with local news, like local TV stations, radio, and even city press releases. They may have information about planned demonstrations before they happen. If you find out there's going to be a large protest like downtown or in a particular park, your safest bet is to stay out of that area completely, even if you think it's going to be peaceful, because really you never know how things are going to end up before it's too late. Social media is another good tool as long as you're careful. Twitter or X, whatever in the world we're calling it these days, can be useful if you search by hashtag or location. We have a couple of Facebook groups where I live that are pretty useful as well. Then you might also want to consider signing up for local alerts. A lot of cities now have emergency text or email systems that'll let you know if something's pooping the bed in your area. You can also use apps like Citizen, which track police scanner traffic and also user reports. It'll send you notifications if there's something sketchy happening nearby. Maybe there's a large crowd forming on Main Street, or police activity reported near such and such park. That kind of information can help you reroute or stay put until things cool down a little bit. Then apps like Scanner Radio or 50 Radio let you listen in real time to what emergency services are dealing with. It's not really all that exciting until something happens, but when it does, you could get a lot of information from that. You could hear about disturbances, road closures, or certain escalations before all that hits the news. Next up is route planning. If you know that there's civil unrest brewing in a particular part of town, plan multiple ways to get where you need to go that don't take you anywhere near that area. For example, if you usually drive through downtown on your commute, find an alternate route around that, even if it takes longer, because when things get stupid, always try to take the path of least resistance, even if it's way out of the way. Also, keep your gas tank at least half full, especially when tensions are high. You don't want to be stuck on empty and have to pull over into a sketchy part of town just because you didn't plan ahead all that well. When you park, back into the space if you can. That way, if you need to get out quickly, you're not wasting time trying to back out with a crowd bearing down on you, yelling at you, and all that sort of mess. And if you're walking around, pay attention to how things feel around you. If you see like a group of people gathering or chanting, or worse, yelling and getting all worked up, that's your cue to quietly turn around and go the other way. A lot of protests happen near government buildings, major intersections, or like public squares, so steer clear of those places during volatile times. Then when it comes to appearance, do your best to avoid standing out. That means like no bold political slogans on your shirt or car, no tactical gear, anything that screams, I'm on this side or I'm looking for a fight. Instead, go for the gray man approach, neutral clothing, neutral attitude, and no eye contact. You're just a normal person going about your day. Nothing more, nothing less. That also goes for how you behave. Like, don't film people, don't make comments, and try not to get into debates. If you're in a place where people are emotionally charged, even something small like a bumper sticker or the look on your face can escalate them if they're already ready to go. And if things start to go south and you hear sirens or shouting or see people running, don't stop to watch. Don't be a looky-loo. You're not a journalist, and this is not the time to go viral. Just get out quietly and quickly. And then finally, pay attention to what your local government is saying, even though, a lot of us aren't really pro-government. If a city declares a curfew or says to avoid certain areas, don't push that. Even if protests seem like they're far away, things can spread fast. And sometimes a response to a protest, like tear gas or riot control, can make the area just as dangerous for bystanders as it is for the people tossing stuff. So basically stay informed, plan your routes, keep a low profile, and if anything looks off, trust your gut and just leave. Avoidance is usually the best defense, and if you do it right, you'll never have to find out what it feels like to be in the middle of a crowd that just goes absolutely bat poop crazy. But even if you're careful and try to avoid trouble, there's always the chance that you might end up in the middle of a protest or riot unexpectedly. Maybe you took a wrong turn, or things kind of blew up faster than anybody was expecting. Either way, though, you need to know what to do, because once things start going downhill, you don't want to be totally winging it. The most important thing you can do in that moment is try to stay calm. That might sound obvious, but it's easier said than done when there's a bunch of shouting, sirens, or people running around everywhere. Panic can cloud your judgment very easily, and when you're trying to get out of a dangerous situation, that's the absolute last thing that you want. So take a breath, try to slow your heartbeat down, and start thinking clearly. Next, assess your surroundings. Where are people gathering? Where are things getting loud or violent? You want to look for the edge of the crowd, the part that's like the thinnest and the furthest from the action, and that's where you want to head. Your goal here isn't to confront anybody or try to control the situation. Your only job is to get out safely without drawing attention to yourself. And when you start moving, the best approach is to blend in and move with the crowd, at least at first. Don't try to push through people or go against the flow, especially if everybody's all packed together. That's a great way to get knocked down or singled out. Instead, angle yourself diagonally towards the edge of the group. Think of it like you're trying to swim out of a river. You're not going straight against it, you're easing out to the side. Then keep your head down, don't record anything, and don't engage with anybody. Just try to look like another person leaving the scene. The goal here is for you to be forgettable. You want to look like you're not a threat, not a target, and not even worth noticing. If you're with family or friends, the number one rule here is to stay together. Hold hands, grab onto backpacks, whatever you need to do, and avoid yelling, and don't stop moving. If someone gets separated, have a backup plan in place, like a landmark to regroup at or a designating meeting point if things do go bad. But ideally, you should be physically connected as moving as one unit. If you're carrying small children, pick them up. That helps prevent them from getting separated or trampled. Hold them close to your chest, and if you have a stroller, now's the time to ditch that sorry thing and carry the kid instead. You're going to be a lot more mobile, a lot more maneuverable if you do that. Once you reach the edge of the crowd, though, look for an exit path. That could be a side street, an alley, or even an entrance to a building. Just make sure that it leads away from the action, not toward another hotspot. If police are forming lines, do not move towards them. They may not be able to distinguish you from the protesters in that moment, especially if they're under pressure, and that's how you get a rubber bullet in your butt. Now, let's say you can't get out right away. Maybe all paths are blocked or things are too chaotic. In that case, shelter temporarily in a relatively safe place if you can. That might be a business that's still open, store, restaurant, somewhere preferably with a back exit and away from the main crowd. Once inside, stay low, stay quiet, and wait for things to settle down or for a path to clear. Just be mindful, though, that if things escalate outside, that building could become a target, so have a plan to move again if needed. And also remember that if things do start to go downhill, most businesses are going to close, so you may not have many options in that regard. And while you're navigating your way out, be aware of secondary dangers like tear gas, pepper spray, or flying objects, because people like throwing things. If you see canisters or smoke, try to move upwind and to higher ground, because tear gas tends to settle low, so even getting a few steps above street level might be able to help. Cover your mouth and nose with a mask, scarf, or shirt if you don't have anything better. If you do get sprayed or your eyes are burning, rinse them with clean water, but don't rub them. And that's somewhere that a small everyday carry kit can make a huge difference, like a water bottle, a mask, bandana, basic eye protection, like shatter-resistant sunglasses. Those don't take up much space, and they can help you stay safe and get out faster. If you carry a flashlight or a compact first aid kit, that's even better, because you never know when you might need to patch a little cut or find your way down a dark alley, even when things are normal. Respirator or gas mask would be very useful in that sort of situation, but most people aren't going to keep one in their EDC bag because they're pretty stinking big. You might be able to get away with keeping one in your car if you live in an area that could potentially deal with one of those situations. That probably wouldn't be the worst thing to have. But if you're in your vehicle when all this goes down, your job is a little bit different. First off, stay in the car and keep your windows up and the doors locked. If traffic's blocked, stay calm and don't draw attention. If it looks like things are escalating nearby, like people are starting to get aggressive, look for a safe way to turn around or a side street to get out on. Once you're out of the area, don't linger, don't try to get a better look, take pictures, or check out the aftermath. Just get out of there. In the words of the great Biff Tannen, make like a tree and get out of there. Get somewhere safe, call a trusted contact, and let them know that you're okay. All right, so we've talked about how to avoid protests and how to get out of them safely if you wind up in the middle of one, but what if the unrest isn't somewhere downtown? What if it shows up on your street, near your home, or in your neighborhood? Now, this kind of thing doesn't happen too often, but it can happen. We've seen peaceful neighborhoods turn into hotspots overnight. Maybe a protest route shifts, maybe looters start targeting homes and stores outside of the city center, or violence just spreads further than anyone expected. So it's smart to be ready in case that happens near you. The first and most important thing to do is secure your home. You don't have to turn it into a bunker, but you do want to make it a hard target. Something that looks like it's more trouble than it's worth. Start by locking everything up. That means your front door, back door, windows, garage, and even gates or fences like leading to your backyard if you have them. If the situation looks like it could get serious and you have the time and materials, consider boarding up ground floor windows, especially any that face the street or are easy to get to. Plywood works great, and it doesn't have to be fancy, just something solid to keep things from getting smashed in. If boarding stuff up isn't an option, closing your blinds and curtains is still a good thing to do. You don't want anybody walking by to see what's inside your house or how many people are in there. Another smart move is to bring in anything from your yard that could be used to break a window or start a fire. That includes things like patio furniture, decorations, garden tools, garbage cans, anything that some idiot could toss or turn into a weapon. Put all that mess in the garage or somewhere out of sight. Then inside your home, you need to be ready to shelter in place. That means having basic emergency supplies, which I'm sure you do if you watch this channel, things like food, water, medical stuff to last your family at least a few days. Also make sure that your flashlights have fresh batteries. Another good thing to have on hand is a fire extinguisher, preferably multiple larger ones. If someone throws a Molotov cocktail or sets something on fire nearby, you need to be able to respond to that quickly because fires can spread fast, especially in packed suburban areas or older neighborhoods with a lot of dry brush and wood structures. If you have a second story or a basement, pick one of those as your safe room. You want a space that's away from exterior windows and doors where you can gather everyone together if things get bad. So when you do that, bring your phones, a flashlight, some water, and a basic first aid kit in there with you. If your home only has one level, choose a room that's furthest from the street, preferably one with a solid door that you can barricade if needed. But if things escalate and you absolutely need to evacuate, you should already have a plan for that. Every family member should know where to go, what to grab, and which routes are the safest in case y'all aren't together. Keep your vehicles fueled and your keys in a consistent spot so that you're not scrambling if you need to leave quickly. Have a go bag packed with essentials like copies of your ID, cash, medications, food, water, clothes, chargers, and anything else that you would need if you had to get out and then stay gone for a couple days. And don't forget your pets. Have carriers, food, and any supplies that they may need. Hopefully it won't all come to this sort of mess because most of the time staying put is the safest option, but if there's a fire or a violent crowd starts targeting homes, you may not have any choice. Know where you're going and how to get there before things get that bad. Then communication is also important. If you have trusted neighbors, check in with them ahead of time, share contact info, and agree on signals like flashing porch lights to indicate trouble. Group chats and two-way radios can be useful in case cell networks go down or if they get overloaded. Finally, if you're armed, and I know many of you watching this channel probably are, know your laws and your limitations. Keep any defensive tools close by, but only use them if there is a direct threat to life. Like, don't stand out playing security guard in your front yard trying to scare people off. That can backfire, especially if the crowd's angry or chaotic, and legally speaking, you have a better chance of a defensive use being considered legitimate if you were in your home when it happens, and that's true usually even if local castle law applies to your whole property. It just looks more kosher. But just like if you're away from home, try to keep as low of a profile as possible while still being prepared to act. Now, if you want to see some survival gear that would be very useful in an urban environment, then click here. Or if you want to see the preps that you would need to survive the first month after a collapse, then click here. Thank y'all for stopping by. Y'all have a good one.